Our next speaker will be talking about our body and our soul. He started in business, but he discovered another path. His journey began through martial arts, mindfulness, and human connection. Now, a, he's practicing psychologist and wellness advocate. You can find him also with COVID and at their events, and we're happy to welcome him also on our stage to explore how the smallest daily habits influence our energy, focus, and relationships at work. I cannot wait to hear you, honestly. Welcome, Daniel.
Applause.
So, hello there. My name is Daniel. I'm a bit of the odd one out. It's an honor, really speaking, among such professionals at this stage. But yeah, as you can see, I am a yoga practitioner, a yoga teacher, a manual therapist, and a psychologist. But 10 years back, I was, let's say, a corporate shark-ish. I was still too young to be a shark. So I was severely overweight on antidepressants, 40 kilos above what I currently am. And then I started, how can I say, wondering on the topic of how to be a better version of myself that is not connected and related to the way I perform, to the amount of money I make, and to everything else that is professionally pointed. So, but first, before we begin, I was asked to move you a bit so that we can wake up after the lunch. So the point of this lecture is to give you some very practical things that we can do in order to be more productive, be more focused, and be in a better mood while working and while interacting with the people alongside us. So, if I could please ask you to stand up, all of you, and we will do a very short 30-second, 1-minute exercise that will move the lymph around. It will wake us up, and it will be, and it is one of the healthiest things that we can do early morning. So, is there enough place? I think there's enough place, but let's try to just like move our arms around a bit, and with each movement, make it a little bit stronger, and a little bit stronger, and a little bit stronger, and put a little bit of impact. So there are actually lymph depots underneath the armpits, here, behind, here. Okay, so another way to do it would be just like this, here, 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 then behind the knees, and one of the most, the best ones is here. Hit it harder, harder. Good. Now shake, just a little bit of shaking, and sit down. So, just doing this for 30 seconds to a minute a day, once you wake up, changes the whole mood. Like, just doing this right now, even though we're in a, let's say, a more formal environment and this and that, already I can see your smiles. And that's the thing. Like, the more we smile, the better we feel, the better our world moves, our experience of our life is improved. So, breath shapes every thought and every emotion. There is a misconception that we are thinking creatures that are capable of emotion. This is completely wrong, and it has been proven through various studies. We are actually emotional creatures that are capable of thought. That can be like every person can notice that in themselves, in the way they make uh, excuses for behaviors that they are not aligned with. Or we want to do this, but instead we do that, and we make an excuse as to why we did what we did. But actually, the breath is the main driver, or let's say, each emotion has its specific type of breath. Uh, and we are able to actually reverse this idea by making our body breathe in a certain manner, therefore impacting the emotional state. So this is a very interesting question that everyone should ask themselves at least once a day. How many conscious breaths have I taken a day? And the answer, if we don't have a specific answer for that, then we really need to take a step back and just analyze the way we feel, the way we move, the way we interact with ourselves and our environments. Why? Because we are incapable of doing something for someone that we cannot do for ourselves first. If we are not happy, it is very difficult to make someone else happy. If we are not satisfied, it's very hard to make someone else satisfied. And this is a manner in which we can live a little bit more synchronistically with our, let's say, highest motivations, desires, and so on. Let's talk about the breath. This is a very interesting topic. Why? How many of you have kids? I don't, but I've noticed some things. So when babies breathe, how do they breathe? Anyone? Bellies. Belly breath. Only the bellies move while the baby is sleeping. So actually, the capacity of breath within our lower belly is about 30 to 40% larger than what we have from the chest upwards. However, what happens is the baby goes to kindergarten. He meets with a teacher. Baby starts being told what to do all the time. So with every such interaction, with every time that there has been some kind of aggression towards the kid in terms of demands, in terms of scrutiny or any type of critique, the lower belly breath starts blocking and blocking and blocking and blocking and blocking. And now if I ask you all to just take one deep breath, let's all take one deep breath. What most of you do is and block. While if we actually want to take a really deep breath, what should happen is this thing should move, like the diaphragm should move. This is the breath of calmness. If our stomach doesn't move while we breathe, then we are most likely stressed, then we are most likely feeling anxious or depressed, or in any it means that cortisol is high, basically. So what happens is that the position we most usually take on our desks, in the manner that we move, is very, in itself, makes us very susceptible to depressive states. Why? The biggest, let's say, signal for depression, if we take the literal translation of the word depression, it means something that is downwardly bent. So the biggest problem is the shape of our chest. So most of us, we work like this. And we stay in this position for hours upon hours upon hours. And then we wonder, why am I feeling bad? Well, how can you feel good if you're breathing solely through the not elbow, the collarbones? And how can you feel alive and energized and confident, strong, if we don't utilize the full capacity of our body? To counteract this, we need to be a little bit more self-aware of how and when and why we move what we move, and be a little bit more in touch with the body rather than the mind and the task at hand. And if we do that, it will actually make us better prepared and more productive in the task that we are currently achieving. Why? Because in order to be able to, let's say, flex some muscle to the maximum, you should also be able to relax the muscle when it is not necessary. And most of us, we live in a state of constant stress and anxiety and let's say, flex, but we are not capable of actually relaxing. So it comes down to these two systems, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system, nervous system. So there are 11 systems within the body. I am not a biologist, I'm not a medical professional. If someone disagrees with me, you can throw something at my head, it's okay. But out of these 11 systems, 10 are completely automatic. Like we cannot control our body temperature. We cannot control our muscle growth or bone density or our cardiovascular system. However, there is one system that can be both automatic and willfully managed, and that is the system of breath. So, and the yogic tradition actually teaches us that through achieving control over the system of breath, like if we were doing this lecture in Bulgarian, I would tell you about the word dых, дух, въздух, and how like it relates to spirit and control over finer aspects of life. However, let's keep it scientific and straight to the point. So through controlling the breath, we are actually capable of gaining control over the other systems. Like we are capable of producing more energy within the cell. We are capable of doing, being more calm and being more responsive rather than reactive to the situations that are happening to us. So, not going to go into the details about oxidative phosphorylasis and how we can raise the amount of ATP that is connected to that is produced within the mitochondria. However, this is the most basic idea. We take oxygen through the atmosphere. The counterintuitive part about the process of breathing is this. Once we have taken a deep breath, from our lungs, there is this thing called hemoglobin, which acts like let's say a food delivery guy that takes the oxygen and brings it to the cell. However, if we call for food right now, the driver will demand payment in order to get the food. The payment from that perspective would be carbon dioxide. So if there is no carbon dioxide within the cell, the hemoglobin or oxyhemoglobin just moves on and continues moving throughout the body. What happens when we slow down our breath? We actually increase the amount of carbon dioxide within our body, which, on the other hand, provides us with the necessary oxygen on a cellular level. So, meaning that if we breathe deeper, slower, and more consciously, we increase our energy through the process as described. So, our breath, or the biggest function of our breath, is to provide us more energy whenever we need more energy. If we see two cats that meet, like two male cats, what we most likely will see is how they shift and move their spine so that they look bigger and they look more frightening and they look more aggressive. The same thing is true for humans. So once we feel stressed, we try to make ourselves look bigger, thus moving the air upward and blocking ourselves so that we take more space. This, however, blocks the calmer types of breathing, therefore it affects our whole quality of life. So the problem is that in our world, it's not so clear what the actual threat is. So an email from the boss can be equivalent to our ancestors meeting a bear in the forest. Very small interactions, very small effects from the environment can actually, by our nervous system, be translated as a big threat. So basically, what we're trying to do is, through control of the breath, remove the trigger, and rather than reacting right away, for example, in traffic, when someone blocks us off, rather than just letting him have it, just taking a deep breath and then enjoying the peace and calmness that we take through this control. So let's have. I am more of a practitioner than a theoretician. So and the reason I enjoy doing what I do is because it can be felt immediately. So basically, I imagine that most of you have heard of this breathing, 4 to 6. So that means 4 seconds inhale, 2 seconds hold, 6 seconds exhale. We'll start with this, and then I will give you another 3 types of breaths for immediate, or let's start with the immediate response. So neurologically speaking, there is one type of breath that immediately calms us down and resolves any current issues that we might have. So let's just do it together. We take a deep breath, and then we make it even deeper. And then we let it exhale really slowly. Again, take a deep breath. Deeper. Exhale. And we can immediately feel a change within ourselves, a shift in our perception. If we do this, let's try it. 3 iterations. We inhale 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 seconds hold. 2, 6 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once again, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Final one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And notice. Everything is about noticing. It's about feeling how small changes affect our perception. I'll now give you 2 more. The best breath that I know for balancing the nervous system. It requires shifting between the left and the right nostril. It's called Nadi Shodhana in the yogic term, but let's try it out. We take a deep breath through both nostrils. We shut down one nostril. Exhale here. Inhale here. Shut down this. Exhale the other one. Inhale. Close. Exhale on the other side. One more. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. And last one, exhale left. If we keep this up for 30 seconds, 1 minute, it immediately changes whatever we're feeling, whatever we're doing. It just takes the pressure off and makes us a little bit Wouldn't say focused, but a little bit calmer and a little bit more perceptive and aware of our environment. And one last breath. This is for energy. It's a little bit more intense. I hope you haven't overate during lunch. But it's really simple. If it were in my class, I would give everyone tissues, but I don't have that capacity right now. But it's very simple. We take a deep breath, exhale, and now the breath is 1, exhale is 2. So it's like deep breath in, hold. Exhale. You can start feeling tinglish. You can start experiencing other things. There's a lot more capacity on how you can produce various substances within your body, getting high on your own supply as it's being sold. Basically, to just wrap everything up, if we are aware of our breath helps us generate more energy. This energy helps us keep a better focus and stops us from being overwhelmed, which in terms affects our productivity, our relationships with people, and how we are able to be of service to others. Thank you so much.